Hello and welcome to the Dharma Download, Sacred Teachings for Modern Living. Look, each week I want to cut through the noise. There's so much noise out there around yoga and spirituality, and I'm just going to do what I've always done for the last 20 years and continue to do my best to bring you timeless yogic teachings and explore how they apply. Like, what does it mean and how does it actually apply to your modern day life so that you can live it in the here and now in your real life. You see, most people don't struggle because they lack information. Not today anyways. We live in a time of an overload of information. And so therefore, we actually struggle because our minds are constantly full of this information. Many of us experience things like overthinking, overanalyzing. We are having like a mental fatigue from processing so much information, trying to figure out what's right, what's true, what's wrong, what's old, what's new. And there's so much mental noise. And even because of all this information, it tends to be divisive, and we can even experience things like emotional reactivity. So what happens is we often feel like we're feeling pulled in too many different directions. I mean, you can get this just from scrolling on Instagram, right? Do I do this workshop here? Do I listen to this yoga teacher over there? What about this historian over here? What about this politician or political group over here? And we can really feel pulled in too many different directions. And so I thought it'd be really great to just get back down to the basics, something very, very simple, because we do live in a world of constant stimulation. And let's face it, without clarity of mind, it's really, really hard to access a sense of clarity, an experience of clarity in your life. And when you don't have clarity, it's really hard to move forward. So I'm here to remind you that yoga isn't just about movement, and it's really not even about stress relief. It's a method. Yoga really is a method, a technology for understanding and steadying the mind, to understand how your mind operates and to be able to steady the mind as you are moving through your life. So we're going to unpack a famous verse in the yoga community that is often not spoken about. So here we are to talk about Yoga Sutras, chapter 1, verse 2, Yogaś citta-vṛtti-nirodhaḥ, probably Patanjali's most famous verse. He says that yoga, according to Patanjali, he's trying to really simplify the practice of yoga and make it very accessible. He says that yoga is the stilling of the fluctuations of the mind. Like, most entry-level place that you need to start is the stilling of the mind, right? This is one of the foundational definitions that Patanjali gives, and it appears at the very beginning of his Yoga Sutras. Before he gets into posture, before he talks about breath, before he talks about meditation and really cool, far out, trippy, super conscious things, he talks about steadying the mind. You see, the goal is not to eliminate thought, but to create steadiness and therefore create clarity. And what this teaching is pointing to, that he is offering in the beginning of his Yoga Sutras, really is talking about how our experience of life is shaped by the activity of our mind. In fact, Patanjali goes on to describe this more thoroughly in the following verses here in chapter 1. But let's go over the Sanskrit words here. We have citta. Citta is the mind field. It's like this sort of subtle body energy field where thoughts, emotions, memory, and identity exist, okay? And then within that citta, that mind field, we have vrittis. Vrittis are fluctuations, movements, patterns within the mind, the disturbances, the thoughts, any kind of movement. And Patanjali goes on to define what those different kinds of movements are. Then we have nirodha. Nirodha means to calm, regulate, or to bring into steadiness. So what Patanjali wants us to know is that you're not your thoughts. You are the awareness that is observing them. He goes on to say, when you are not lost in the movement of the mind, you stand in your swarup, in your true form. And it's important that we understand that yoga is not about stopping the mind. It's not even about killing the ego. It's about no longer being carried away by the mind, no longer being intoxicated by the ego, but understanding that although we may experience those things, we are not those things. Listen, a busy mind is not a failure. right? All it is untrained attention. If your mind is busy, you just haven't trained the mind to focus. Mental activity is natural. That is the nature of the mind. And awareness is a skill that we develop, and I really believe that this is one of the first, most truest gems that we can get from yoga, is this cultivation of awareness. You don't need to control every thought, right? Trying to force the stillness actually creates more tension. It is in the awareness and in the observing, in having the ability to observe, that we can create space within ourselves. And from that, we can experience clarity. Clarity comes from regulation, not from suppression. So the mind will settle when it feels that there's some steadiness, when it feels supported, when it feels that the environment that you're creating is safe enough for it to be steady, okay? Your thoughts are experiences. They're not your identity. You can witness without attaching or reacting to your thoughts. You can notice them. And stillness reveals our deeper truths. When the mind is quiet, insight, intuition, and self-awareness emerge naturally. They are natural things within us that we can access. We just have to get into the stillness in order to hear with our inner ears. So I'd love for you to just reflect, okay? Ask yourself these questions. What is the overall tone of my mind lately? Is it busy? Is it calm? Is it reactive? Is it scattered? Just check in and ask yourself, how do I typically relate to my thoughts? Do I believe them? Do I fight with them? Or do I observe them? Ask yourself, when do I feel most clear, most present, and most connected to myself? It's important that we know what is the catalyst for that, so that we can access and lean into that more. And here's a practice that you can start to work with. Very simple to do. It's the 60-second awareness reset. Only once or twice a day is all that's really required to begin. You can just take a moment throughout your day, pause whatever you're doing for 60 seconds. Just bring attention to your breath, to your body, and to your thoughts, right? Closing your eyes, just maybe turn a timer on for 60 seconds. Breathe and just bring your awareness to breath, body, thoughts, without trying to change anything. Or just say in this moment, in this 60-second pause, say, thinking is happening, feeling is happening. I am the awareness, I am not the fluctuation. I am the awareness, I am not the fluctuation. Listen, it's really, really important. Something that yoga is emphasizing throughout all the different schools of thought, through all the darshans, they want you to know, you are not your thoughts. You are not your mental noise. You are the awareness behind it all. Clarity is something that you can access and something that you can uncover through the technologies and the techniques that yoga is offering you. You see, as the mind settles, truth becomes easier to recognize. When our mind is busy, when our mind is overwhelmed, when our mind is overly engaged and overly stimulated, when our mind is too full, it's really, really hard to access our own truth, to recognize our own knowing. So when the mind settles, we can easily access that. Trust your capacity to return to stillness. Trust that you are designed to do that. And trust that this is the beginning of self-realization. The whole goal of yoga is to be on that journey of realizing the true self. Quiet mind, steady mind allows you to do that. Find some things to do this week that help you connect, that help you center, that help you ground. Something that allows you to slow down and get quiet. Meditation, sound bath, a nice walk outside in nature, watching the sunrise or the sunset, doing your own home asana practice, meditation, I think I said that already, chanting, kirtan. There are so many ways that yoga has offered you technologies that help you achieve this stillness. There's so much noise in the world. That is never going to go away. Lean into these technologies, lean into these practices, and be willing enough to do the experiment and see what happens. A steadiness of self is one of the most empowering gifts you can give yourself. And if you have an aim in life, you have a purpose in life, you have an aspiration in life, you have a goal in life, you're going to want to be steady. You're going to want to be centered. You're going to want to be grounded, especially when it gets chaotic, especially when it gets noisy, especially when it gets challenging. You're going to want to have these tools that help you steady yourself in the midst of that. Yoga isn't asking you just to be calm because you're regulated. Yoga wants you to be centered. Yoga is providing you the way to be centered, to be steady, no matter what you're in the midst of. So take these teachings into your week and lean into living more your Dharma, more your purposeful self as much as you can this week with this little bit of information I'm giving you. And remember that your life has meaning, your presence has purpose, and your existence has value. All right, if you would be so kind, hit the like button, leave a comment, make sure you are subscribed. All of those things will help to boost this video into the algorithm to help other seekers find this message, to help them along their path. And I'm so grateful to be here with you. I hope you have a more aware week. I hope that you have a more centered week. And if not, that's okay. Join me next week for our next Dharma download, and we'll just keep at it, all right? I'm here to cut through the noise. I'm here to cut through all the nonsense. I'm here to cut through all the arguing about what's right, what's not. Let's just do the study, and let's just apply the practice, and let's see what happens. And until next time, sending you so much love from my heart to yours, peace and blessings, and namaste.